are you here? Where are you? That's great. Oh, wow. That's fantastic. We're going to start. I'm going to play a little music before we go into our Dignilogue group to get us in the mood. Keri, we're so glad you're here, and you can describe what this music is. It's something you made for our entire group, and we're so glad to have it.
Okay, I'm not sure which.
The waiata we're going to sing is a, well, waiata, a song, and it's also a prayer. It is called Whakataka Te Ho. Whakataka Te Ho ki te uru, Whakataka Te Ho ki te tonga, kia makina hiuta, kia mataratara ki tai, e hia ke ana te atakura, e tio, e huka, e hou, tihei mauri ora.
Oh, thank you so much, Keri. I'm going to turn it over to our Dignilogue group. This group is called Unity and Adversity and Dignity, War, Women, and Indigenous Wisdom. We have a wonderful group with us.
My gratitude to our participants. Let me share that this group is composed of people from around the world. So from the past, the present, and the future. In other words, Keri is in New Zealand and it is already tomorrow there and 5:30 in the morning. So we're so grateful that you can be here. Vidya is at night in New Delhi, correct? New Delhi or Jaipur. And our third participant, Father Jean, is from Rwanda and at the moment is in Iowa. And then Linda, of course, is Oregon, and I am in New York. So our second speaker is another courageous person, Keri Lawson-Te Aho, a Maori from New Zealand, who is also a PhD in psychology and science, and is guided by dignity in her dedication as an activist, especially for Indigenous people, and especially with Indigenous suicide prevention and well-being research, as well as a writer, poet, educator, and in Doctors Without Borders. And that's just a little bit, but I'll stop there.
Ngā mihi ki a koutou, ko te tuatahi, he mihi mai o hā tēnei, mai Aotearoa New Zealand, ko Waiau, ko tāwhirirangi te maunga, mō haka te awa kahunguru te tangata rongo mai wāhine te wāhine toa. Thank you so much for the invitation to briefly speak this morning, 7 minutes, which I'm going to try very hard to stay within. The background here is my marae, or our traditional gathering place. This is in the South Island, or Te Waipounamu, which means the waters of greenstone. It is where our treasured greenstone or pounamu comes from. This is my marae, my meeting house. And at the top of my marae, you'll see a carving. This carving is of my great-great-great-grandfather, who was the paramount chief for the area. His name was Big William, or Wee Karawiko, he was married to an equally as important and significant or mana wahine, Māori woman of standing, and her name was Mere Whāriu. They lived there at a very turbulent time in our history, with the introduction of infectious diseases by the colonisers who arrived from Britain. And so in our urupā, or in our burial ground, are the stories and legacies of colonisation. I did prepare a PowerPoint, set of PowerPoint slides, but I wasn't able to get them through to you. So this kōrero, this presentation, is called Te Ha o Hineahuone, which means the breath of the first woman, Hineahuone, in our creation stories. So Hineahuone was the first woman born or created by the sun, who was a god of Ranginui and Papatuanuku. Ranginui, sky father, Papatuanuku, earth mother. They lived in harmony with each other. Ranginui represents the realm of the spirit, Papatuanuku, the realm of the earth. Papatuanuku is our earth mother. She also is the whenua, the land. She is the place, or the one we go back to when we're buried upon death. We go back to the embrace of our mother, Papatuanuku. We have a role as Māori women to protect her, to protect the land, and we also have the role of being able to bear children. So we are mana wahine. Mana is our word for dignity. So mana wahine is represented as the first call when we go on to these places, these gathering places of our marae. We issue a karanga. It's the first voice that's heard on the marae. It is the first voice that's heard at times of burial and funerals. And it goes like this. Tēnā rā koutou rangatira mā kairunga I te kaupapa whakahere o te rānei e. Tēnā rā koutou, tēnā rā koutou. My work is in suicide prevention. It's also in homelessness, ending homelessness. It's in working with those of our young people who are most at risk of suicide. It's in fighting the uplift of our Māori babies by the state, a practice that is continued over generations. My mother was uplifted at the age of 7. She passed from cancer at the age of 56. Her life was not a good life. She was serially abused in state care. There was no protection, and that situation currently remains. So I'm involved with a group of other grandmothers. I'm a grandmother. I have 4 mokopuna by my biological son. I have 36 children that I've adopted, and at last count there were 42 mokopuna by, or grandchildren by, my adopted kids. So I'm an activist. So activism for me means fighting for the rights, for the future, for the well-being of my grandchildren and the generations that follow. A core construct in Māori identity is that of whakapapa. Whakapapa literally means the layering of generation upon generation on generation. And it comes from papa, papa tuanuku, our Earth Mother. So there is a saying that by land and by blood, or whakapapa, men are lost. So the mana of wahine, the dignity of Māori woman, exists through our ability to bear children, to keep generations alive, but also to our engagement and activism to protect Papatuanuku, to protect the environment, to protect all the things of this world that ensure the survival of generations to follow. So I'm not sure whether I'm out of time, but ngā mihi, Linda. But the work that I've been involved in is occupying land occupation, resisting the weapons trade in Aotearoa, standing in solidarity with the Standing Rock, the people of Standing Rock, the whānau over there, and protest and resistance actions all around the world. I'm a prison abolitionist and involved in many activist actions that reflect my role as an older Māori woman. I carry this pūkauai, which is a moko. It's cut into my skin because I am a kaikaranga, which means that I take people onto our marae. I call at tangis, at burials. I call at significant events in the lives of our people. And so after the arms protest, when the New Zealand government hosted arms traders from all around the world, we stopped that meeting through protest action, through blocking their entrance to the venue. And the following day, we all assembled at the ocean and we called out to Tangaroa, God of the ocean. So Karanga Tangaroa was the lifting of the heaviness and the pain of war. We have an internal war happening inside our nation, reflected in the fact that Māori youth have the highest rates of suicide per head of population in the world. That we have a history of nuclear testing in the Pacific, which has decimated and left legacies of cancer through generations. In our neighbours, we're also Pacific. We are all joined by the ocean rather than separated by the island states within the ocean. Te moana nui a kiwa joins us all. So I think I'm probably done now, but I just want to let you know that it is such an honour to be here this morning. And I will be sitting in on other Dignilogue sessions. And I'll send you some links to some of my writing and some of my activism and invite you to participate if you so choose, in any way you so choose to do that. Ngā mihi, ngā mihi, ngā mihi aroha. Kia ora.
We express our gratitude for you being here as the sun, I suppose, is coming up in New Zealand on Saturday, and that you have so much to say, and we we'll try not to feel humiliated at not giving you the whole day. And the same is true for Vidya, who's coming now. We're so grateful for your succinctness and such packed discussion. Let me point out that Keri has brought to the vision of the experience, the history of the Maori people as attached to the land, and has joined the concept of dignity with the concept of nurturing self, other, community, the land, the earth, and others. And I'm so grateful for this that you've given. I want to thank Vidya and Keri both for your incredible, such rich and compact material. I remind people that this is recorded and you can go back, because I don't think any of us could absorb all that each of you gave us. I want to point out, so I thank you again. I want to point out that you're watching three grandmothers who from different regions of the world, whose mothers could not do what we got to do, much less grandmothers. And that we're three PhDs, an unbelievable thing when we were children, I think. And that the work of women, people working on behalf of women and culture and dignity and transcending the social limits of what women can be. We all have benefited from that. And we all are in the position to give generously with heart beyond that. So I thank you so much. I'm so moved. And I think now we will move to our Dignilogues, if I'm correct.
That's right. Oh, Janet, here I come. Take out my little tan. Yes, Janet, thank you so much. Everyone, please give this amazing around the world Dignilogue. Keri, Vidya, it's so wonderful to have you. We hope Father John will be able to join us at some point along the way. We'll get to greet him. And Janet, thank you so much for leading the Dignilogue. Is there anything you want us to think about as we go into our connection reflection groups?
Yes, I want you to think about dignity, vision, moral courage, and inclusion. We've heard about heroes, and actually our speakers are sheroes. But all of us can do our part to bring dignity forward and to cultivate moral courage. So I suggest you think about that in your groups.